The reason the market is doing what it's doing is people are sitting at home getting the checks from the government, okay? And this fair share is a bullshit concept. It's just a way of attacking wealthy people, and, you know, I think it's inappropriate. We all got to work together and...
Tenez, tout haïtien qui a regardé ça. No problem son tough. In translation, I have asked, the Haitian people on the ground, of course, is going to be suffering, frustrated, violence. I tell them that I do not cry for myself, that I cry for them. And I told them, just permit us a little time. We're going to be back on the ground on Saturday. And we'll be back on the ground every week until we help the situation. We need to mind.
Welcome to another episode of the Jay Lex Podcast. I am your host, Jay Lex. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment on the content. You know what I'm trying to do with it, and you know where to find it. Today's topic, it's all about the money. I was having a conversation, I believe it was yesterday, with somebody that I know. I'm part of a group, or a sports group known as the Sports Hit List. Check them out on social media, the Sports Hit List. It's a great group, especially if you're into sports. They've got content all the time, and they would definitely show them some love if you can. I was having a conversation with somebody in one of the group chats that we have via text, and he basically said, longer story short, F Logan Paul. For those of you who don't know, Logan Paul is the YouTube boxer. Him and his brother, I think his brother's in the WWE now. He is I guess you would call, he's not really a professional boxer because it doesn't fight professionally, but he's like a YouTuber who basically fights other YouTubers. They make money, blah, blah, blah. I think for those of you who don't know, you can look him up. But basically this person got mad because Logan Paul, I believe it's Logan Paul, moved to Puerto Rico basically to train to become a professional boxer, which is kind of late in life, but you know, it is what it is. And he got mad because Logan Paul, he feels, didn't do anything for Puerto Rico. As we all know, Ian hit, Puerto Rico took a lot of damage. Puerto Rico's taking a lot of damage. It's a relatively poor country. It has a weird status as the 51st state, even though it's not, it's looking for statehood. It's a very unique situation over there. But it is a very poor Caribbean country. And so the man who said F Logan Paul is also Puerto Rican, so there's some emotion there, and I've talked about emotions in the past. But he got mad because there are certain rules that are in place that will help individuals, and Logan Paul's not the only one. A lot of people have either bought property or have moved to Puerto Rico because I don't think they pay federal income tax, if memory serves me correctly, but they pay like local tax or something like that. So people go and they take advantage of those tax loopholes so that they can save money, so that they can put their money elsewhere. We know how this goes. And what I and a few other people were telling this young man, or I shouldn't say young, he's a few years younger than me, so I'm not going to call him a young man, but this gentleman is, the world is going to keep going, whether you like it or you don't. I understand his frustration. As a person who is Haitian, I see it happen in Haiti, which, if I'm not mistaken, is even more poor. Well, it's the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. I understand his frustration, but myself and some other people in the group are trying to explain to him, the only way you're going to get ahead in this life is if you take advantage of those rules. I remember when everybody, especially when Agent Orange, Donald Trump, was running for president, and everybody hated on Donald Trump. He broke this tax law. He broke that tax law. Oh my goodness, he didn't pay taxes on this amount of money. And I always ask people the same question. Who do you think helped write those tax laws? Who do you think helped usher in a time where rich people in particular weren't paying taxes. Who do you think gets all that done? All these people, whether you look left, whether you look right, whatever your political ideology is, when you see what's going on out there, what do you think it is? Who do you think writes these laws? These congressmen and women. I've said this before. I've said this publicly. I think I've said this on a previous podcast. I've never been to one of those events, but I know people who go to them. When they go to those fundraising events, in particular here in the tri-state area, there's a lot of money, a lot of Wall Street money. I know the politicians always tell you, especially the ones on the left, like to tell you, oh, we're going to make sure that they pay their fair share. We're going to get Wall Street and blah, blah, blah. Do you remember the crash of 2008? Tell me how many people during the crash of 2008 who knew that this was going to happen based upon the subprime loans and all that other jazz. How many people went to jail? According to the movie The Big Short, where I got some of my information from, one mid-level person. How many people paid a fine? How many people went in front of Congress and explained what happened? We can go on and on and on about the importance of people paying their fair share and things along those lines. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say it here if I didn't say it already. The rules are written so that the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. We're one of the few countries left in the world that has a middle class. And you see, you see what's going on right now, at least according to some of the reports, we might be going into a full-blown depression. Remember because, we've had high inflation and now all the things that were basically being having Band-Aids put over them are now basically all going to crash at the same time. Were there any major rule changes after the crash of 2008 having to do with housing? Not to my knowledge. And so now the housing market is super inflated. People were paying crazy amounts, and as I understand it from the little bit that I've read, people's home prices, some of these housing prices, are going to be dropping between 40 to 50%. They're predicting not a recession, but a full-on depression. And what I was trying to say to that individual, amongst other people, is you have to leave the emotions out of it. This is purely business. This is purely numbers. Okay, so if people can go to Puerto Rico or any other place and not have to pay exorbitant amounts in taxation, they should do it. And I'm gonna bring up a clip. I'll play for you in a moment here that basically illustrates exactly what I'm talking about. Just give me 1 second, and here we go.
Millionaires are flocking to Puerto Rico. That's because if you spend at least half the year on the island, you're free of taxes on capital gains. What a deal. The former Republican governor of Puerto Rico, Luis Fortuno, joins me now. Good morning to you. Governor, is Puerto Rico the new tax haven now for crypto millionaires?
Well, Stuart, if people are moving from California or New York to Florida or Texas, we want them to consider Puerto Rico as well. We are part of the U.S., we are American citizens, but we do not pay federal income tax. We pay local taxes. And what I did during my tenure, among other things, was to promote the individual investors to move to Puerto Rico instead of Texas or Florida, for example. And if they become bona fide residents of Puerto Rico, they, as you mentioned, they will pay no taxes on dividends, income, interest income, or on capital gains accrued after they become bona fide residents of Puerto Rico. And we have had thousands upon thousands of families moving mostly from high tax jurisdictions across America to Puerto Rico, and we were welcoming them.
Well, Governor, Puerto Rico has a poverty rate around 40%. My question to you is, what does Puerto Rico get out of it? How do those people benefit from this migration?
New capital, that's influx of capital, and jobs. On the one hand, all these people, these are type A individuals. They don't sit around watching TV all day. They want to go out and they're investing in the local economy. That's number one. And I believe in free cross-pollination, and that has been happening during the last 10 years since I signed this law, this bill into law. And secondly, jobs. And there are all sorts of jobs, from lawyers and accountants, and professionals, to people that are, attending, to restaurants and what have you. And we believe that is extremely beneficial to the island.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen, the former Republican governor of the state, you would call it, of Puerto Rico, talking exactly what I am talking about. Okay? Before the pandemic, if you lived in the New York tri-state area, I saw some numbers, on the average, 1,000 people a day from this area, a good portion of which born and raised, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, all were leaving the area at a fast rate. I think it was 1,000 people a day, the most coming out of New York, then New Jersey, and obviously the state of Connecticut being the smallest of the three. I think the state of Connecticut, because I worked there for a little bit, I think it was average 40 people a day. At the end of the day, it's about one thing. Well, a few things. Number one, what the biggest thing is economics. That's what it's about. All these New Yorkers who are out here trash talking about Florida and Texas and all that other stuff, you know what they do? You know, it's a little known secret that the governor just talked about there, because it's the same thing in Florida, and I believe it's the same thing in Texas. All right, you live there, you get a residence there, you live there for 6 months and a day, and you are considered a resident of that particular state. And so you get all the tax benefits. So all these people that you see out here trash talking about, oh, Florida's this and New York, I have friends who live down there. The influx of people going down to Florida is the reason why rents down there are as high as they are up here. All these New Yorkers moved down there. You know, they did, the remote jobs, the whole bit, took their salaries down there, and now the rents are through the roof. I know. I had a friend send me some stats the other day. Rent is as high in Orlando as it is in like Westchester or Rockland County. And in some cases, Miami's always been expensive. It's Miami. It's where people go on vacation, so they're gonna up the rents and everything like that are going to be up there. But Orlando, Tampa, these are not big cities like Miami is, and the rents are equal to Westchester County and Rockland County, I think just below New York City, because New York City is outrageous, and the fact that people live there is beyond me. But there is no mistaking. There is no mistaking this. This is not about emotion. I always say this to people. Take advantage of what you can. Okay? The powers that be don't want you taking advantage. You know what they want? They want you getting 3 weeks off, 2 to 3 weeks off a year. They want you having your little 401k. They want you taking 1 week of vacation at a time. Before the pandemic, you were going into the office 5 days a week. So what ended up happening? During the height of the pandemic, as an example, there was the big thing with AMC, the movie theater company, and GameStop. They were, obviously, for most of you already know, but they were basically shorting those stocks because they're like brick and mortar companies that essentially they wanted to go out of business so that they can make a lot of money on it. And so a bunch of retail investors said, screw you, at the height of the pandemic, said, screw you, up the price of both of these brick and mortar companies through the roof. Hedge funds and Wall Street lost billions of dollars just like that. There was a clip of a gentleman, I'll see if I can find it, a clip of a gentleman crying because he'd basically lost a bunch of money, and he was like, I cared, and blah, 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 and all this other jazz. So what you ended up seeing, so he ends up getting upset, and what ends up happening? What ends up happening? Now, all of a sudden, this guy, all these people who were sitting there making billions off of the backs of other people, manipulating the markets, because that's legal as far as I know, all of a sudden we're losing money. And what ends up happening? They end up having like congressional investigations into it. Fucking Congress knows what's going on. They make money on this. They make money on insider trading. They sit there and make how many millions all the time? Annually. And they did an investigation into this. Why? Because the average person wasn't just making a little bit of money to retire, not having to, not having that kind of FU money that you can just be like, I'm not going to work tomorrow, because they need people, they need employees to keep the economy going. That is the reality of it. And so what happened? A bunch of congressional investigations, because a bunch of people who you put inside and told you couldn't work, all of a sudden manipulated the very markets you've been manipulating for decades. And what happened? People got upset, people lost money, blah, blah, blah. And so those same hedge fund people, quote unquote, who the left and the right are supposed to pay their fair share, all of a sudden got a phone call and said, hey, what the F is going on here? And so they had to investigate, and so they tried to change some rules and things along those lines. Give me 1 second here. I'm going to see if I can find this clip.
I think it's kind of obvious. People can not only see the emotion on your face, but hear it in your voice when you talk about this, Lee. Why?
I care. That's it.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. There it is. He cares. He cares. He cares because he lost $1 billion in a matter of hours. That's why he cares so much. You see, once again, excluding people that you care about, that are in your life, that you love, that you're close to, not associates and people like that, but genuine people, family, your wife, your girlfriend, the mother or father of your child, whomever it is. Okay? At the end of the day, it's about beyond those people, and even some of them you have to put to the side. It's about one thing. It's about economics. Y'all remember Black Lives Matter? Oh, y'all remember. $90+ million raised. $90+ million raised. The one of the founders was up in there, she said, we made mistakes along the way. When you hear stuff like that, it's bullshit. But, we made mistakes along the way. Oh, she was giving money to her, I think it was her baby father or somebody like that, had a security company, or maybe it was her brother, I don't remember. Just a bunch of people that she knew getting your money. Why? Because it was never about Black Lives Matter. The moment that I heard that nonsense was when I knew it was all for nothing, okay? I'll take you back. Wyclef Jean, when the earthquake in Haiti happened back in 2010, started Yele Haiti was the charity. Oh, I was out there, I was out there caping. I was getting people to donate money. We were sending clothing and all that other stuff. And I'm not saying you shouldn't donate to those who need it. But the idea, people were, you could text the American Red Cross. The Clintons had their initiative, raised $1 billion. Not one red cent went to the Republic of Haiti. Hell, I had to be schooled when I was in college. There was a young man who was from Haiti who was a culinary student at the school that I was at. And, when I was younger, I didn't know any better. I was sitting there caping for the Clintons and all that other stuff. And he's the one who told me that the people in Haiti, this is like 2000, 2001, the people in Haiti hated the Clintons. And I was confused as to why, because I used to just watch the mainstream media, and they would sit there and make it seem like the things that were going on in Haiti when, not Jean-Claude Duvalier, Aristide, when they put Aristide back in power, all these people. I was like, well, what's he talking about? And I had to go and find out for myself that it was all bullshit. The UN went in there, took a bunch of natural resources, the whole bit. Then the Clintons raised $1 billion. They laundering asses. $1 billion, paid for their daughter's wedding. Yele Haiti, Wyclef was out there. Also, when you see somebody crying, you know what I'm saying? Wyclef was out there crying, saying we made mistakes, but I still love my people and blah, blah, blah. And he was out there, using charity funds for his side chick. All these people, every single person. Okay? At the end of the day, it's about one thing. Economics. Money. They don't care about you. They don't care about your family. That's why I stopped donating to a lot of these places, because it's all bullshit at the end of the day. But what you should do, what you should be doing, is using that to your advantage. Because like I talked about before, it's about to get real rough in these streets. Real rough. So if you can pay down your debt, pay down your debt. If you can find a way to make money, or you know somebody who can help you to make money during these turbulent times, because as I mentioned before, they're talking about a depression. And we know what happens when people start getting hungry. Hell, we see the violence that's going on in the streets right now. We see, Wawas out in Philadelphia getting ransacked. We see robberies in San Francisco and LA, people getting robbed, people being followed to their homes and getting robbed in broad daylight. All right, Bill Gates just bought a bunch of farmland out in, I think he's the biggest controller or holder of farmland in the United States. You think he's doing that because he's going to, start growing food for the poor? All these billionaires out here and people are hungrier than ever? Is that what you think he's going to do? One of the videos I saw talked about some contractors talking about they're building bunkers. They're building bunkers away from everything because they know it's about to go left. And they're orchestrating it on purpose. Bill Gates and his depopulating ass. Don't sit here and believe the mainstream media and what they're telling you here. You ain't got to like everybody. You ain't got to get along with everybody. Is the information that they're giving you accurate? What can you do to get a piece of the pie? Because there's a lot of pie out there. Watch your neck. Watch your back. People are out here. They're going to do everything they can to make sure that they're winning and you're not. And you have to be the smart one out here. Don't let your emotions get the best of you. If you can move to Puerto Rico and become a Bitcoin billionaire or millionaire or any type of other crypto, if you can buy yourself some land and you can use the loopholes in the tax code to save yourself some money, by all means. I know for a fact that General Electric under the Obama administration was paying zero in federal taxes in the United States. That is how the game is played. Don't sit here and run up on morale and all that other stuff. I understand. You're angry. You're upset. You don't want to do those things. Okay? I know they say, a dollar in a dream for the lottery, but not every day somebody makes $1 million in the lottery. You can gamble all you want to. But if you can find a way to keep more money in your pocket, by all means, especially if it's legal. Because you see, they don't want, unless you're chosen, they don't want you in their little group, They want you out, they don't want outsiders coming in. For the longest time, we would watch, I know people hate him right now, but we'd watch Kanye West sit there and do everything he could to get into high fashion. Do you think, even though he was a famed rapper and one of the most influential people on the planet, that those high-end, quote-unquote, high-end brands, most of which are made out in China under slave work, wanted him coming in there? No, because they want to be able to control everything. Prada, Gucci, all the rest of them. You think they wanted Kanye West loud ass up in there making noise? Come on now. Now he's gone the other way, talking about white lives matter and all that, which is fine. He's entitled to that, whatever. Probably just another way to sell t-shirts to people. But understand that at the end of the day, it's all about one thing: money. Money, money, money. Capitalism has no moral grounds. It doesn't. That's why it's one of the greatest systems in the world, for all of its flaws. Okay? Okay, the biggest thing people say, greed, money is the root of all evil. No, it ain't. It's greed. People are greedy in the motherfucker. And they don't want you making money. They want you having just enough. You have just enough to live a comfortable lifestyle, to be mentally fat, to not ask any questions. People think like $1 million is a lot of money. It's really not. Because then you realize just how low on the totem pole you are. $100 million is a lot of money. $1 million is not. And with the way the inflation is going and the way that there seems to be some sort of parity with a lot of the currencies now, they're each going, things are going down. Things are more expensive than ever. We know what's going on in the streets. We know what's going on out here. You think Congress is sitting here, hurting from all the inflation that's going on and everything going up? No. They don't pay for their own health insurance. Their security is paid by you. They make six figures. The rules don't seem to apply to them for the most part. All these governors and people like that, they all live separate lives from the people that they're supposed to work for. So if you can get your piece, because that's not going to change. They're going to still be out here doing what it is that they're doing. If they were going to fix something, they would have fixed it a long time ago. And they're not. And it's happening right in your face. All right, go look up the World Economic Forum. See what's really going on. You will own nothing and you'll like it. But y'all do what y'all want to do. Y'all continue with that high morale, I'm better than that and blah, blah, blah. You better go and get your piece of the pie. Go buy yourself some land in a rural area, build yourself a farm, and get ready for the barbarians who are going to come kick the door down. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Jay Lex Podcast. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment to the content. Take care.
Approach to capital gains, income, and business taxes is attracting crypto's nouveau riche to their shores. The IRS delivering a report to Congress saying upwards of 4,000 U.S. residents and companies have moved to the island between 2012 and 2019, losing out on potentially hundreds of millions of dollars in tax revenue. Joining us now is Giovanni Mendez and Keiko Yoshino of the Puerto Rico Blockchain Trade Association. Hello there, Keiko and Giovanni. So any data on how many people are moving to Puerto Rico for tax purposes? And of those, how many of them do you believe are moving because they made a lot of money recently in cryptocurrencies?
Yep. I would say in the last 8 years, we've had about 4,000 people that have moved to Puerto Rico in general. We've seen the 2 years that we've seen spikes were around 2018, where we crossed 1,000 people that moved here that year only. And this year is going to be record breaking as well. Coincidentally, it's the years when we've seen peaks or part of the peaks for the price of blockchain and or crypto tokens in general.
So first,